Beautiful.
Okay. Ready?
Excellent.
All right. Hi, everyone. We're going to get started. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Audrey, and I'm with Startup NB. Today, we have Kevin Lyons. He is the co-founder and chief scientist officer of Governance Scientists Group. And then he's also the co-inventor of FlashVote. And today, he's going to be talking about some startup methodologies that you can use for making things work and how to apply them to the government. So
Yeah.
give it up for Kevin.
Thank you. All right. Well, thank you all for coming today. I will be your guide on a journey working with some of you. I know we have some startup folks in the room. We have some government folks in the room. So it's a nice combination. We're going to give you some tools for how to think about a startup, starting a business, starting any project where you're trying to help people. And then we'll also get into some government stuff, some really kind of cutting edge stuff. And I'll even tell you about a new project that some of your input is going to contribute to. We can help design. You ready to roll? You guys sat perfectly, by the way. I can see every face, the way it all lined up. So I need that because I'm gonna, it's not a passive participation thing today. All right, so real quick, I went around the room, was able to talk with most of you, but anyone's like anything burning that you want to learn today? You want to share that? Throw something out. No one wants to learn anything? That makes my job easier. I'm good with that. Yes.
How can you actually apply startup ideas to the government?
It's crazy, right? How can you apply startup ideas to a government? Because like governments are way over here in our minds and startups are kind of like way over here, totally opposite end. We'll try to answer that for sure. I think you'll get that one out of it. Anyone else? Any other big ones? Yes, sir.
Sort of related to that, how do you apply a change needy culture to a change adverse culture?
How do you go from a change needy culture to a change adverse culture? Yeah, a lot of incentives in there, a lot of challenges in that. One way we think about it is like, why do smart people do dumb things? Also, I don't know about you guys. I've done a couple of dumb things in my life. Just going to throw it out there. And sometimes it's like a mistake. You thought you were doing the right thing. Other times the situation might be what steered you to that dumb thing you did a little bit, right? So it's a tough situation. Great. Anything else on that? Okay, so the don't tell me what you know, tell me what I want to know. That's kind of the approach I'm taking here. And of course, don't just talk about you. Don't we love it when someone does that? Yeah, so let's jump into why me. I'm going to talk about me for 20 minutes. No, I'm kidding. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to do a quick introduction about me, but really it's about the people that helped me get to where I can share some stuff with you today. Then we're going to go into the customer discovery methodology, and we're going to do some exercises with that. So especially you startup folks in the room, be ready for that. And we're going to go into government 101. This is going to be a little weird because I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about government in terms of pizza and beer, as promised in the intro. So you're going to be experts in trust law and fiduciary law by the time we're done with that. Number 3 is going to be the actual government design stuff. And that's where you will have the tools to think about design, customer discovery. You will have the baseline knowledge to think about government, what it's supposed to do, how it's supposed to work. And then we'll let that roll. And at the end, we'll have time. Ask me anything. I'll hang out later, but I'll be your host till about 1:30 is, I think, the time. Right, Audrey? Excellent. Great. All right. So real quick, anyone recognize this woman? This is not me, by the way. Maybe one of you government folks might. Eleanor Ostrom. And that's her picking up her Nobel Prize in 2009 for governance, for theory of governance. Now, anyone recognize that gentleman next to her? The proud husband, right? No, that's actually Oliver Williamson, who was the co-winner of the Nobel Prize in Economics for Governance in 2009 with Eleanor Ostrom. Oliver happens to be a chemical engineer. Oliver admitted me to his little 4-person-a-year program at Berkeley as a mercy admit, as far as I can tell, because I was a chemical engineer in 1994. He was 15 years ahead of winning the Nobel Prize, but we get to learn all that stuff already from him at that point in time. No one's going to recognize this gentleman. W. Henry Weinberg. He showed up at Caltech and had tenure in 2 years. There's a lot more Nobel Prize winners at Caltech than people that can actually get tenure in 2 years. He was my chemical engineering PhD advisor. who taught me how to be a scientist. So I was lucky enough to learn governance from these folks. Eleanor's book, The Governing the Commons, was a Bible to me in grad school when I discovered. She wrote it in 1990, I believe. And I have at least 2 copies of it still. Startup folks, now your turn. Anyone recognize this gentleman? Looks familiar. Alex Zaffaroni. He's one of 2 people to ever start $6 billion startups. That's the number 6 different companies that became worth $1 billion. The other was Larry Bach, both biotech, even overlapping. So when I started in chemical engineering with Henry, after a couple of years, I decided I got more interested in people than molecules. Ended up going to Oliver. After a couple of years in Oliver's group, I got recruited out by this guy through Henry, who he'd recruited to be the chief technical officer of a startup in Silicon Valley. The startup did combinatorial chemistry. It's basically a way to search for material space. So I was a business and tech guy. So in that situation, I was able to learn startups by doing them. And that became a unicorn. That was one of those 6 companies, a company called Cimex. Okay, so government's going this way, startups still going this way, right? How does it all come together? Anyone recognize this guy? Startup people, you better recognize this guy. Maybe? Head, possible, no? Naval Ravikant, founder of AngelList, legendary startup advisor. And someone I was lucky enough to meet through my wife who worked at Opinions back in the late 90s. He actually supported my first startup government effort, which is, what if we could create a government from scratch to serve the public? How would we do that? And he's been a big supporter of that. It turns out a lot of people in Silicon Valley have that interest. And in fact, recently had the luck, of course, learned a ton from him startup-wise. Anyone recognize this last guy?
Duffield.
Dave Duffield, the guy who started 2 $10 billion companies and started a company after he was 75. By the way, Alex's companies, half of his billion-dollar companies, he started after he was 70 also, which is amazing. And Dave's someone who our daughters are friends, and we got to know each other. And it turns out that he even has an interest in government being better. Source of infinite startup wisdom, of course, and just a wonderful person. But this is why, these people, the gratitude to these people is why I'm here. So that's how it all fits together. Okay. Startups, startup government. Questions about that? Makes sense? Kind of weird. There's a lot more weird stuff to that story. But there's where we are. Okay, so customer discovery. Here we go. In a nutshell, customer discovery, the methodology. What do? Make something people want. That's it. How many times have you heard, hey, I got this great idea. It does blah, 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 blah. Does anyone want it? How do you know? Right? You're going to spend your time, your money, your resources, other people's resources, building something that people might not want. The reality is, actually, no one cares what you want to do. No one cares about your idea. Maybe your mom does. She'll get tired of that, though, after a while, too. But everyone cares what they want. Do you care what you want? You care what you want? You care what you want? Right? So that intersection is the issue, right? Don't do this. Just don't go make something that you think is a good idea. That's a horrible idea. Figure out what the customers want, bring it together, and find that overlap. That's the key to customer discovery. Find out what the customers want, make sure it overlaps with what you want, what you can do, what you're special at, ideally, right? Think Swift. Who's heard of Swift? Oh, boy. So what's in it for them? It's that simple. By the way, this works in startups, this works in big businesses, this works in government. What do the residents want? Easy. And when you're thinking about that, I want you to think about benefits instead of features. So what is this? Anyone recognize this? It's a drill. Okay, specifically, it's my drill. And I had to drill a hole this weekend to put in a water pump in an old RV. What does a drill do? Why do people buy drills? So the cool colors? The weight, the lightweight, what is a drill?
Makes a hole.
What do they want? It makes a hole. What do the people actually want? Do they want a drill? They could snap their fingers and have a perfect hole. Wouldn't they want that instead? Yeah, now we're getting it, right? Okay, so what's the benefit? It's the hole. And I took this drill, I started going, I was getting ready to do this really precise hole. I was like, oh my God, I'm such an idiot. I have a laser guided drill press also that I bought years ago. As you can see, it was kind of in a corner of the shop. That's a better way to make a hole, right? Now that's terrible for portability, for walking around the house, everything else. But if you need a really good hole in the right place, perfectly straight up and down, that's your tool. So I actually lost sight of the benefit I was going for at that time. I had to go to this. This is so common. We all do it. We start talking about the output instead of the outcome, right? We start talking about the feature instead of the benefit. So what's in it for them? It's always a benefit. Make sense? Okay, good. Anyone else got any examples of that? The drill hole is kind of a famous one. Okay, I'm not letting you off this easy when I get down the line. Oh, just one time. Okay. So there's a saying in copywriting, actually, if you're telling someone about something, no one cares what you do. They care what you do for them. Right? They want to know the details or the specs of the drill. You ever heard the car salesman? So the new car salesman's on the lot. He sees the person looking at the car and he goes, hey, you looking at that car? He goes, yeah. Hey, check out these brakes. They're a super carbon fiber, turbo powered, blah, blah, blah. He starts going through the car and he goes, oh, okay, cool, thanks. The old salesman comes over and looks at the guy and he goes, you looking at that car? Yeah, he goes, you look great in that car. What do you think about the car?
Yeah.
Right? Why don't you check it out? You want to go for a drive? Whoa, roll down the window, wave to the ladies, right? Whatever. Whatever the benefit is they're looking for, you got to understand it as opposed to show up and throw up as the bad salesman might do, right? Remind me to ask someone to sell me a pen later on. Okay. So how do we figure this out? How do we find out what people want? What are they really after? Well, there's this great word called prototyping. Prototyping. Everyone's heard of prototyping, right? What the heck is prototyping? Something that comes before prototyping. Ah, there we go. Okay, so you can actually test the value of a product first without having to build the product. Isn't that a cool idea? And it's not just an idea, it's like a secret. This is how actual great stuff gets built. Remember voice recognition software when it first came out in the 60s?
I don't remember that.
No. Do you want to know why?
I wasn't born yet.
Good answer. I was not born yet. Lucky you, Peter. The reason is they prototyped it. It didn't work. So how did they do that without the technology we have today? Well, they gave someone a microphone and said, okay, dictate into this microphone and you're going to see words pop up on the screen that you said. So then they had an excellent typist in another room, and they had a screen where her words would show up. Right? So they tested the exact experience without writing a single line of code, without building a single thing. They just bought this stuff, hooked it up, and tested it. They found out that it was kind of weird to talk into the microphone slowly enough, all these things that you have to do to be natural and have it be as good as typing. Technology wasn't there yet, wasn't as natural, right? So never took off. I think it was until the 90s, actually, Dragon Speed came out, right?
I remember that.
Yeah, that was a big deal. Here's another one. This one's actually even more famous. The Palm Pilot. Who remembers the Palm Pilot? Yes, a lot of great hands. I had one. I even had when they turned into a phone. So here's how the Palm Pilot started. A block of wood. Seriously, a block of wood. But it gets better. On this block of wood went a piece of paper. On this piece of paper, the inventor of the Palm Pilot would walk around with a block of wood and a piece of paper and test using it. Oh, hi, what's your name? Okay. Practice tapping. Practice what it would be like to enter, right? Create different screens with paper. And then test and iterate. And be like, oh, that should be there, right? Make a new iteration. Pen and paper. Print it when you're really close, right? Amazing. You can iterate faster, you can test faster, and ultimately, that's how we ended up here. I didn't write this code, write a spec, start working on it for 6 months, and then go, hey, here it is, hope you like it. No, guy literally walked around with a block of wood. testing different screens, different interfaces. Pretty incredible, and the Palm Pilot was a huge success because it worked. It did what you want to do. You'd user tested it before you built it. Not a cool concept, huh? Yeah, okay, cool. So there's a general approach to all these things. They all have in common, and what's the trick? Ask questions. You ever heard of the 5 whys? Okay, so it's a way to get to like a root cause problem. It's also a great way to remember how to figure out what people want. Why do you want that? Why is that important to you? Why would this be better than that? Right? Keep going, keep going, keep going. The other way to think about it is just 5-year-old. That's what a 5-year-old does, and a 6-year-old and a 7-year-old. At some point, we beat it out of them, unfortunately. But just that perpetual question, even if you think you know the answer, pretend you don't. Right? You have an idea of the product you want to sell, put that away. You don't have any products. All you have is their problems you're looking for. Okay, so how do you find people out? Ready to do some exercises. So the first thing, there's steps, is find the pain. Right? What's the actual problem? What's the actual benefit they're seeking? And there may not be any. It's another thing, right? You may start thinking, oh, this is going to be great. People are going to love this. You get in there and they go, well, that's okay. But if you could do this, that would be incredible. And then you talk with more people and they all go, yeah, if you could do this, right? And you shift. And you do all that before you wrote the first thing that was a terrible idea, as it turns out. There's also a Swiss Army saying, when the map and the terrain disagree, trust the terrain. Right? So you have a perfectly shaped view of your product, your service, whatever it is in your head. It's flawless. It's perfect, just like mine, hopefully. And then it comes out in the real world and people crap all over it. As they should. Great, now iterate. And then at the end of the day, you get rid of everything that sucks. What do you have left? Something that's pretty awesome. Okay. So just some sample questions you can ask. Who's got a product they're working on? Get ready. What's the most annoying thing about blank, whatever that is? And we'll use some of these, keep these in mind, we're gonna use these in the government context. What keeps you up at night about blank? Whatever that is. If you could wave a magic wand, what would you change about whatever it is, right? Any part of your day, any part of your work, any part of that thing you have to do regularly, right? Whatever it is, that's what you're listening for. And then one of my favorites, what's the worst experience you've had with blank? Okay. A volunteer, please, and this time I'm not playing. Don't make me pick you. All right. Good.
Be gentle.
Be gentle?
Yeah.
All right. What's something you're working on? Products you might want to do, service.
Actually, I'm trying to help an organization reinvent itself.
Trying to help an organization reinvent itself. Okay. What's the most annoying thing about what's happening in an organization right now?
People aren't showing up.
People aren't showing up to work?
Well, it's an organization for the community. People aren't showing up.
Okay. And what keeps you up at night? What keeps them up at night about those problems, about that problem?
I think what keeps me up at night about it is that I think the core values of the organization are noble. People may not know about it, and we are obviously not meeting the needs of the community we're here to serve.
So the core value, not meeting the needs of the community is what keeps you up at night. Okay. If you could wave a magic wand, what would you change about that organization?
Somehow make it so people felt like they were missing a lot if they didn't show up, that they felt it was really valuable.
So make the experience more valuable in the organization. Yeah, and along those lines, what's the worst experience people have had in that organization that maybe pushed them away?
I think they're bored and underwhelmed.
Bored and underwhelmed. Okay. So you happen to be a design guy. You see how that shapes it up, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, kind of drilled in, and you can keep asking. There's a million other questions. So I'm already thinking of things that, of course, you could do, right? Okay, hold that thought then. So that's the pain. I think you did a great job of explaining the pain, right? All right, quick round of applause. So, hey, does your toe hurt? Yeah, this one? Oh! that's the one. Thanks. Oh. Sorry. No. Hey, do you want a painkiller? Do you have a painkiller for my toe? Yes. Well, what color is it? What font is it? Or no one cares, right? All the stuff we worry about. What's your logo? No, give me the painkiller. Does it work? Does it work? That's all you care about if it's a painkiller. If it's a vitamin, well, is it chewy? Does it have sugar on it? Does it taste good, right? No one takes vitamins. We're supposed to. Yeah, they're good for us. It's fine. Of course, the other extreme is candy. Are you making candy, which is basically something you probably shouldn't be doing, but you enjoy it. So here, have some candy. Think of your product, either candy, vitamin, or painkiller. We're looking for painkillers. If your hair is on fire, another classic startup metaphor. I have a fire extinguisher. Do you care the brand of fire extinguisher? No. Do you care the color? Do you care anything? Just give me the fire extinguisher, right? That's what you're looking for. That's the level of pain you want to solve. And it's out there. It's out there in so many places you wouldn't believe. Okay. So you got to test the specific benefits and features, though, to make sure they work with the actual pain and then iterate. So, for example, what would be the most important benefit you could get from blank? Right? You have this idea for how to solve this pain, this painkiller, right? Well, it's got to go to a toe. Well, what's the most important benefit you could get? My pain goes away right now. Okay. But would you rather it go away now or an hour from now? Now, right? Okay, if you could have A, is there anything else you would need to have too? You know, sometimes there's a single magic bullet, but maybe you need a couple other things to really fully solve their problem. And then as you get into these A's, these B's, you can test side by side. So suppose you had to choose between that painkiller that works right away and tastes bad, or the painkiller that works in a half hour and tastes good. Now you're getting in a trade-off land. That's going to be really important to you. So suppose you had to choose between A and B, which would you want? Those can be combinations or they can be single things. Really important. And this is the joy of the iteration because they'll guide you. Oh, I'd definitely rather have that. That'd be nice. That's a nice to have. That's a vitamin. It's a candy. But this is what I really dying for. And you just keep doing that. What about B versus C, right? Use that paper and pencil. You can iterate it. I've done this. I've created website apps. Piece of paper, sit down. Okay, what button are you looking to push? Oh, the one that does that. Okay, great. Here's the next page of the app. You know, boom, right? Draw it out. Is this what you expected? No, I was hoping it would do this other thing. Oh, you mean this? Yeah, that's what I want. Okay, great. Keep iterating. Pretty soon you have a pretty compelling app. By the way, this works great in government because you can actually solve problems with no resources. They're very resource constrained. But you can find a solution that people care about and make sure you're going to solve it before you spend $1 of real money or time on it. Compelling or what? Yeah. Well, I mean, or you can just like throw $1 million at it because that's just sitting around and then hope something works. Yeah. Yes, sir.
We've discussed this, and let me know if it's inappropriate for this time, but I mean, the government meetings that I've been to look nothing like that. They aren't passing paper around, putting sticky notes on the wall. They're very structured, and somebody will make a point, somebody makes a counterpoint. There is less combining of ideas than there is fighting for individual ideas. That seems like, I mean, we both know what you're talking about works.
Yes, it works very well.
How do we help governments see that there's ways to comply with the regulations of the meeting and change what the meeting looks like, that people don't have to be sitting behind that table?
How do we change the meeting from one of people competing for their idea as opposed to figuring out the right idea?
Especially
Is that another way of saying it?
Is tied to your competition.
Yes, we're going to get to that for sure. Yes.
I would just say all those kinds of meetings happen not on camera.
Okay, so they do happen?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I'm an assemblywoman in the state legislature, and I would say that where you get that kind of collaboration is when you get people in the interim, not during session, not during a regular committee meeting, but like we started a tech caucus that was nonpartisan and bicameral, or bipartisan and bicameral. So we brought together senators, assembly, Republican, Democrat, and we had one of our big meetings in here, and we brought together startup folks, and we brought together EDON, and so you have those kind of conversations in the interim and not in the formal process. And you have presenters, you have whiteboards, and you do everything you can to bring people from across the aisle. And that's where the bulk of any, in my opinion, good work happens. And it does still happen, but not as much as it should. But it does still happen. And I think there's a huge opportunity for startup folks and entrepreneurs because it doesn't have to be a partisan issue.
Cool.
That's
Beautiful.
my moral answer.
Beautiful. I don't, nothing to add to that. I mean, it's true, right? So there's a saying, as someone who grew up in New England and has real meetings, like real town meetings where real decisions get made in a group, you come outside of New England and you go, hey, is this a meeting to make public decisions or is this a meeting to make decisions public? Right?
Yeah.
And ultimately what we're generally watching is a meeting to make decisions public.
Yeah.
Hopefully that decision went through a really good process before it got there, but not always, right? Yes.
Yeah, so to build on Jill's point, the open meeting laws here are crazy. And they even prevent some of the very stuff that Jill was talking about. If you have too many, you can't have a quorum.
Yeah.
So
Right, open meeting laws are a challenge, absolutely.
It doesn't apply to the legislature.
Yeah, state's different.
I'm on a council with the others.
But for school board, yeah. it's a-
School boards, cities, counties, special districts, any body in Nevada or California where it was basically invented, the Brown Act. Yeah. So there's a trade-off there too. Very interesting. All right, let's get back to that towards the end. Thank you all for that. That was excellent. I don't even need the volunteer. We just did it. That's beautiful. Okay, so got a pain dialed in. We've iterated towards a solution we think's pretty good, right? We're listening to our customer, they're guiding us. Not just one customer, of course, multiple customers. Lots of customers, many as you can talk to. I'm gonna get to the magic question. Here's why I call it the magic question. It doesn't matter what the answer is. It's one question. If you could have this bundle of benefits, A, B, and C, whatever it is, right now, would you pay X dollars for it? Don't screw around. Is it worth it to you? Because you have an idea what it might cost to make. Is it worth as much to solve that problem? So what are you hoping to hear?
Yes.
You're hoping to hear yes. That'd be great, right? If yes, great. Here's your pre-order form, right? By the way, what makes it worth that much to you? Right, just make sure, validate, test. Okay, that's awesome. There's another answer you could get. What's the other answer you could get?
No.
No. Oh no. Oh, I gotta know. I'm gonna cry. No, that's great. If no, great. What would it have to do to be worth that much to you? I missed. I thought, I'd done my homework. I tried to do a good job, but it didn't quite land. Well, I mean, I guess it would have to do this, but you couldn't do that, right? Maybe, maybe not. But that's how you're going to iterate. And that's the real ultimate test where you're going to have to survive and thrive ultimately. So you want to get your nose as quickly as possible. And there's a saying in Silicon Valley, fail fast, fail cheaply, right? So we get to our nose faster. The startup is essentially testing hypothesis as quickly and cheaply as possible to get to something that works. It's true. You like the magic question? Are we afraid of no? I just asked a yes and a no question. I couldn't mess with it.
No.
Yeah, we like the question. We're not afraid of no. That's right. Okay, don't ask questions that are ambiguous. Do you like apples or oranges? Yeah, what have you learned? Do they like apples? Maybe. Do they like oranges? Maybe. Right? Be very specific with the question. Okay, volunteer. Please, another volunteer. Yes, sir.
I'll volunteer.
All right, okay. Working on something?
Yes.
All right, what are you working on?
A few things. A startup
Okay,
helps people choose better options for government,
okay, so startup that helps people choose better in voting and so on?
of course.
Yeah, okay, so what would you test? Been doing this for a little while, right? How would you bundle that to somebody for an offer?
I would test the value of it by asking them what they believe in the beginning and what they hope to see accomplished by iterating what they believe in, I guess.
So you'd want to know what they believe in, or you want to know what they want?
Well, yeah, what they believe in, what they want.
what they want to do, something they want to get out of some specific action that you're going to allow them to do that they could not do before.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the benefit side. And then the cost side of that is their time, their interest, whatever they have to do. So you're going to say, hey, if I could give you the ability to do blank, right? Would you do it if you got blank? Cost benefit trade-off built into this question always.
Yeah.
So obviously, by the way, the easier or cheaper you can make one side, better chance that the other side wins, the happy side, right? So sell it to me.
So if
Give me the magic question.
I can make it easier for you to choose between the myriad of candidates that exist, that the one that best represents you, would you use the service that I provide?
Okay, if you can make it easier for me to choose between the myriad of candidates out there in an election, would I use it? I'm going to give you an answer. Yes, if it took 30 seconds.
Yeah.
That's about my number on that.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. So as soon as you get it down to 30 seconds for me, I'm in.
Yep.
You forgot to close.
Oh, well, you're already.
As soon as it's ready, are you ready to test it? Right? Yes, the answer is yes. Right? It wasn't that hard, right? Anyone not think they can do that? All right, everyone's on it. Yeah, that was cheating because people would have been, Now, everyone's hand work, by the way? Everyone got an arm? Raise your arm if you got one. All right, good. Just making sure. Thank you very much. Okay, so round of applause. Not easy to do. It's hard to get out there and just put it out there because it's your life work sometimes, right? Or your dreams. Okay. So here's a quick summary of the customer discovery. Find the pain. Test the benefits and features. It's okay to bundle a feature with a benefit because it delivers a benefit, right? But not just features. It's a magic question. Iterate and repeat. Any questions about that? Pretty easy. So there's some kind of wisdom in the ether in this area. These are some of my favorites. Talk with 20 to 30 customers before you write a single line of code. You've seen why, seen how you can do that. Never stop talking and testing with customers. That's, again, kind of a generic one that's out in the ether. But more importantly, the great Paul Graham from Y Combinator, again, who you should all be familiar with if you're in startups. There's two things you should be doing at any point in time when you're starting your company. You should either be either talking to your users or building your product, right? So you're either learning or building, or learning or building, right? Test, iterate, test, iterate. That's how you end up with an airbed in a spare bedroom that becomes Airbnb, which is like the creepiest idea ever. Worst idea for a startup ever. I'm going to rent an airbed in my spare bedroom in my kind of cheap ass apartment. Yeah, well, they kept iterating, it turns out. Now you can rent like a castle in Scotland or something, and no one's there. It's a creepy idea, right? And now it's worth $50 billion. But that's it. That's a real example too. Right? You can start from a bad idea and get to a good one. Yes.
So I don't know if you can answer this or not, but it seems like it's human nature that we want to be people pleasers.
Yes.
So how do you make sure you're getting honest answers and not somebody that doesn't want to make you feel rejected and say, yeah, I'll buy it when they would?
That's why you hand them the form.
Yeah.
Right? Awesome. I'll take your money right now. Thank you.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yes. Question.
The other thing you can do is ask them to turn off their internal filter. Say, I'm not here for you to be nice for me. So if you're going to say, we did this in our thing,
Yeah.
say, how do I look today? And say, well, you look bald, fat, and old. No.
Set the ground rules is actually super important. One of my favorite questions that I'll ask you guys later individually after a talk, you go, oh, how was it? People go, oh, it was great. Yeah. So I always ask, what'd you like least? Right? You're going to tell me because I'm going to make you. And then I might cut that out next time. Right? I'm inviting the criticism as much as I possibly can. Thanks. Yes.
The mom test. Great little booklet on how to do that. And the main takeaway is don't tell them it's your idea first. Talk to them about it as a.
That's
right.
Worry about them like rejecting you.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah. Asking for a friend about this idea, right? It's also the mindset that we kind of teach when we're really doing this in a group of startups. It's like you came here with an idea, you don't have an idea anymore. You are strictly in research mode. You don't have any preconceived conceptions. You don't have any hopes or dreams that it goes a certain way or another. You're just going to listen and learn. And that's very similar. The mom test is beautiful. All right, thanks. Cool. That's it. We did the questions and ready for some government 101? Major change in gears here. All right, good. So we're going to go through real quick, government 101. We have some real government people here. We're encouraged to disagree, shout out, or not, whatever works for you, right? And the mom test, not my ideas. If you like it, I did it. If not, I'll blame it on one of those people you saw in that slide earlier. No, definitely not. They're all amazing. Okay, so the first thing with government, or anything, you need to know how something works, and it's supposed to work before you try to fix it. Right? Ain't broke, don't fix it. Except you have to have a little imagination too. Really, this is how we would get to work if we believe the saying, "If it ain't broke, don't fix it." Or as Henry Ford said once, if I'd asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. So what's wrong with this statement? We've learned something now. What's just missing? You're talking about a feature or a benefit? What do people actually want? Do they want a horse, or do they want to get from here to here? Yeah. Right? Do they want to get from A to B faster? Do they want to get from A to B with less smell? Do they want to get from A to B with less poop? Right? Okay, now we're really drilling into the features, the benefits of A and B, right? The features that fit those benefits. All going to fit together. And in fact, that's what he did. So, there's this myth of the person that even the Steve Jobs, this thing comes out of his head perfectly formed and works. Not the way it works. Solve the problem. So real quick quiz. This is kind of fun time. Which org chart would you rather be in? Citizens on top, government below, government on top, citizens below. A or B?
A.
A. Everyone's A. Okay. Good, that's right. That's what everyone says. We've done this all over the country, believe it or not. Yeah, that's the way we like it. Okay, good. Which org chart is democracy?
A.
A, everyone's saying A, right? All right, you guys are 2 for 2. Everyone's saying, we all know that, right? Okay, which org chart feels most like reality?
B.
Oh, a lot of laughing and twitching and whining. B, some Bs, all Bs. Oh, that's weird. Yeah, that's what everyone says. Okay, what's going on here? Which org chart is established by law? Some A's, not sure. It's a B look right there. Yeah, people that know are being quiet.
A.
Yeah, but people don't know it's A.
Yeah.
Because wait a minute, it's supposed to be A, but it feels like B.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on here? I made that far without cussing, really.
Exactly.
It gets worse. Now, so this is an interesting. So now we're kind of like, what's going on here? There's a problem. Well, there's a few citizen perspectives on this that kind of tie it together. American people hire high-powered lobbyists to push interest in Congress. Great onion headline, right? And America's finest news source. Where first time I ever presented this, politicians and the voters, I made the mistake of describing it as performance art. God forbid it's performance art, but it is an actual art installation that someone made. There's a sentiment there. There's a signal of some pain. But this holiday just happened, July 4th. We celebrated. We do fireworks legally, of course, or otherwise. And what's so special about that holiday? Hint, the org chart of July 3rd. What's that look like?
Yeah.
Right? We got a king, a state government that's been chartered, you got subjects. So where are we? Okay. What happened?
We switched the org chart.
Switch the org chart. And we have citizens instead of subjects. And we have our state governments, new constitutions were formed after that. And we have the government federally, nationally, which some of the responsibilities went to. That's A, right? So we did. Okay, so there's a gap here. We did that. Here's how it's supposed to work. All right, we're going to cover trust law, fiduciary law, and then talk about no one wants to do that. Any lawyers here? Oh, you're all very lucky. I concentrated in law at Berkeley, so that's why we're going to talk about pizza and beer. Okay, so the first thing to think about: anyone ever bought pizza? I'm really testing your arms at this point, people. No one's ever bought pizza. Very good, very good. I was gonna, like, I was leaving at that point. You don't like pizza. So you buy 2 slices of pizza, they're $3 each, right? $6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, your pizza, your money. Simple, right? Private property, your own stuff. Whatever you think about it. That's pretty simple. Everyone gets that. Any questions? Okay. You get to decide what kind of pizza toppings you want? Yeah, whether to buy the pizza or not. Yeah, change over to calzone, whatever you want, right? Okay, good. Your money, your pizza. All right, now you and 3 friends, y'all go to the pizza place to pick out your slices. And you all want 2 slices of pizza, you all got your $6. Do you get to pick your pizza that you want for you? Still? Do your friends also? Okay, simple, right? No, it's, why is he showing me this? This is dumb. Okay.
$15, you whack.
Oh, wait, whose money is this?
Your money,
Okay, what about this?
their money.
Their money, their money, their money? Okay, cool. All right, you all buy pizza together. So 4 of us are gonna pitch in $5 each, by the way. Notice how we're saving money by doing something together. Ah, interesting. And we want 8 slices of pizza still. We're gonna get a whole pizza. Maybe we're all gonna get pepperoni. Okay, well, you just got picked to go get the pizza. Go do the pizza run. Here's $20. All right, whose money is in your pocket?
Everyone.
Everyone's money is in your pocket. Okay, is it the same as before? Or is there something a little different? Can you take your money out and go home?
No.
No, you can't take your money out and go home. Can they? No. Can you change the pizza topping to something you might want yourself? You can't. That would make you, I'm really trying not to cuss, you're a bad person. Okay, you would lose a friend or 2. At least kick your ass when you get back. Okay, well, what just happened? It's the same dollar bills, swear to God, right? There's no magic trick. But they just got converted into something. Congratulations, now you know trust law. Call it trust. Okay, the money, sort of yours, but not really yours. It's for a purpose, but not really your purpose anymore. It's a group purpose. So fiduciary relationship, we'll get to that. One party, granted, gives a second party the trustee. You become the trustee. You're a pizza trustee. You take your pizza trustee money and come back and return with pizza. The right to hold the title to property or assets and manage them for the benefit of who? You, the trustee?
No.
No. What you want doesn't matter. The beneficiary of the third party, people that contributed to the trust, who are also the beneficiaries in this case. Make sense? Trust law is easy. Let's go open a trust law office. Okay. But what about this fiduciary thing? This is interesting. Okay, so anyone been on a beer run? You don't have to raise your hands. Just give me that knowing wink. It's a great song, by the way. BWRUN. Okay, so there's a lot of different ways to do a beer run. There's the cans way to do a beer run. Bottles are cool too, right? Anything wrong? I mean, it's preference at that point. There's kegs. Ever tried to lift a keg? I couldn't do this. Very impressive. There's also a lot of ways to get that particular beer format back and forth. There's the classic traditional way. There's the modern way, especially good at ice fishing ponds, the drone delivery, it's a real thing. They're not made up. This is why we have innovation. There's the green fuel efficient way, bicycle. And then there's the Canadian way, and we're not going to talk too much about the Canadian way. Canadians like their beer just as much as we do. Okay, so that's all simple. Those are all, by the way, aren't those all valid ways to do a beer run? Right? To manage a beer trust, money, turn it into beer. What can go wrong though in a beer run? Well, suppose you come back with wine. A bad person move, isn't it? Zima, never speak to them again. They come back with the beer bottles, but they're empty. Not cool, right? Instinctively, we know these are all bad things. We'd never do them. Or they just don't come back at all. Just take the money and run. Or they give you change and no beer. Well, that would be not cool, right? These are all failures, but we instinctively know this from our life, from all the things we do together with other people. Okay, so there's some rules. Group funds are for who? The whole group interests, right? And there's implicit stuff, which we'll get to, but get all the beer you can for us with our money. Here's 20 bucks. No unauthorized use of the group funds for personal interest. No, you can't get a Slim Jim also while you're there. And we need it all for beer or snacks for you, no. What about subgroup interest? Can you satisfy some of the group and not the rest of the group?
IPA.
That wouldn't be good, would it? Don't get beer that only a few people like, that only you like. And of course, what about people outside the group? Are you allowed to go pay extra for the beer because your friend runs a liquor store?
Yeah.
That wouldn't be cool. And what if you just start giving the beer away because you're just a super nice person, giving away other people's beer?
Yeah.
Does that make you a nice person or maybe not a nice person? Yeah, right. Now, all these can change if there's an explicit authorization to you. But let's see, what's the actual explicit operation? Get more beer, fastest, cheapest, best, right? Whatever they tell you to do is what you're supposed to do. Fiduciary duty of following instructions. Sounds really complicated. Do X. Okay, I'm going to go do X. I'm not going to do Y instead. That's the easy part. I'm going to use the pool money, go to buy the beer. Then there's the explicit prohibitions, not just what you're supposed to do, but what you're supposedly not to do. Don't get light beer. Okay, no. None of us are trying to lose weight, or even if you are, just drink the other stuff. Okay, this is the trickiest one. Built into that, as we saw with all those failure modes, no one says, hey, get beer, but don't do this, that, this, that, this, that, this, that, or this, that. You don't have to say it. You just know not to do it. These are the implicit instructions. These are the expectations. These are the norms. It's what the group expects you to do and not do. And this is things, don't spend the money on snacks, don't get the beer only if you like, don't overpay, get it the cheapest size. All these things are implied with that duty. A lot of implied duties. What does that sound like? Hey, now you know fiduciary duty law, right? Which can be summarized very simple. It's the legal duty to act solely in another party's interest. So when you're the beer trustee or the pizza trustee, your job is to act solely in the interest of the person who gave you the money to buy the pizza. Your opinions don't exist. Questions? I beats the hell out of law school, right?
A lot cheaper.
A lot cheaper and worth every penny you're paying today. $15 for food, $0 for this. All right, let's see what's in a government trust. So interesting is that the word citizenship actually comes from the city membership of this trust in 11th century Germany when they started building these walled cities and they got independence from the rulers. There's two levels: general membership, which is a general fund, you probably heard of that. Special service memberships, that's an enterprise fund for a specific function. Okay. This is government accounting 101 in 5 minutes. So each membership, of course, equitable treatment, right? You're going to pitch in for pizza and not get any? You're going to pay for beer and not get any? That wouldn't be cool. You're going to live in an area, agree to behave by certain rules, but they don't have to over there? Or we don't have to over here? Now, common membership costs and benefits. And of course, would anyone join and pay if they knew they were not going to get equitable treatment? Which has been a challenge historically, because maybe the noisy people get a little extra attention, and the quiet don't. Okay, so as a picture, what is actually going in? What are we agreeing to pool for common benefit? We all agree to do X so we can have Y. What are we doing? Well, we're doing money. Everyone ever heard of taxes? No one's heard of taxes, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Where do you live? Yeah, taxes, of course. Common cash, taxes and fees. Common property, we own some public facilities and trust. And we have some common behaviors for public policy we're going to have. So public expenses, public investments, and public rules. These are the three components of government. The trust. There's funds managed. There's property managed. There's rights. We've heard that word, right? Rights. We all pool these particular rights to be managed in common for some common good. Well, it turns out there's an operating budget, there's a capital budget, and there's local ordinances. That's your map. Now you can just kind of break down everything government does into three separate, sometimes overlapping trusts. Questions? Make sense? Not make sense? Ambiguous? Makes sense. Yeah. You ever seen it that way though? Taught that way?
Well, the challenge is that the common cash and the equitable benefits.
The challenge is the common cash and equitable benefits. Perfect. Yeah, in fact, we have a chart for that. So there's the all benefit, all pay, green light. Group A benefits, Group A pays, enterprise fund. That works. But these are the challenges. All pay, but only some benefit. Only some pay, but all benefit. Those are your challenges, your off diagonal challenges in government. And just to go one last step into the weeds, wait a minute, but I don't get this, but I pay for this. Well, there's three types. There's actual usage, water, sewer, trash, roads. There's risk of usage, 911, courts, social services, safety net, right? Fire and stuff like that. And then there's option to use. It's kind of your rec center, your golf course, your schools. If you gotta be careful with this though, because sometimes you charge people for something they're not gonna use. So it's two-part pricing. Okay, that's the weeds for government. Now you know everything you need. And just to show I'm not making this up, there's a real local government that has this particular mission statement, which ties everything together. Government exists to serve the public. We put the needs and expectations of citizens first. We take pride in delivering services of the highest quality. Anyone know what government that is?
I was going to say, just to clarify, is this on this plan?
Yeah, it's on this planet. You're in it.
Wow.
Washoe County, Nevada.
Wow.
Right? They're out there, people. Good governments exist. I work with many, many, many of them. They do an amazing job. Okay. So the other way to think about it is, hey, 10,000 people chip in for pizza. You got to pick toppings and get the pizza delivered. Okay, now you can think of all these things pulling together. There you go. By the way, how do you figure out the topics? Well, that's hard, right? That's why we invented FlashVote in my company. How do you get statistically valid representative input so you can actually figure out what pizza to get? Okay, there you go. Pause. Deep breath. Questions? All right. About 10 minutes left here. I'll stick around later. So, testing your knowledge now before we jump in. What is democracy? Word association. Not about voting. Right? Actually, demos is the people. Cratchit, power rule. So people make their rules. People rule themselves. That's what democracy is. Right? And as we saw, voting isn't always good. The old wolves voting with the sheep on what to have for dinner. No, democracy is not about voting, it's about self-rule. Right? Fits with everything we've seen so far, right? All right, what would you do? Take me to your leader. All these cartoons, big thing in the 60s and 70s. Maybe it's coming back with the actual UFO sightings acknowledged. Well, what would a cat do? Take me to your leader. Cats don't have leaders. You have leaders? Well, let's go back to that org chart. We got public servants, we know that. What do we? Oh, public masters. So who are we electing? We're electing public leaders or public servants? Public servants. Now, they're leaders of a government organization in that org chart, but what are we as the public doing? We're picking servants, which is exactly how elected officials think about it, right? Yeah. Laughing, okay. Relatedly, so who's your president? Right? Classic question. Well, who do you work for? If you work for one of these many branches of the federal government, then your president right now is Joe Biden. You work for a toothpaste company, your president is that person who's president of that toothpaste company. So how do people think about it? Well, obviously, when people run for office, they think, I'm competing for a demotion. Here's where I want to end up as an elected official, right? Obviously. Actually, pretty good mindset, though. I bet you're a lot closer to that than a lot of people. That's what we're doing. We do that. We are volunteering to serve the public. It's a great, honorable thing to do. Just got to make sure you don't get mayoritis, which is an inflammation of the ego. Okay, so elected office is promotion. Now it's a demotion, position of honor, though, importance. We'll get to that too. Okay, so do elections pick people or policies? Ever heard like I have a mandate, elections have consequences, right? Should they? Officials supposed to do what their supporters want? Hey, the pineapple people are getting behind me. We're gonna get some pineapple pizza for everybody. So now I get the job. Do I get to order pineapple pizza? Maybe even ran on that platform. Well, contested election. Well, maybe I ran against the pineapple, ran pineapple against pepperoni. and pineapple one, so we get to get pineapple for everyone. That sound right? Contested? No. By the way, you can also run unopposed. Then what's your mandate? Who's mandating you to do anything? Nobody. You get appointed, plenty of appointed officials, all levels of government. What are they supposed to do? And you can actually win in a tie, you get a coin flip. Historically, officials were chosen by lots, by lottery. Okay, so none of those fit the mandate story. And probably shouldn't depend on who runs. You have a choice between a turd sandwich with cheese and a turd sandwich without cheese. I'm skipping lunch.
Yeah.
And whoever gets in there just better do a good job for everybody. All right, so yeah, elections pick people, not policies. Referendum can pick policies, a very different thing. Picking a person for a job that does not change no matter who they are. We'll do what you want, that's very simple. Or in other words, as someone more recently famous, unfortunately, you don't need experience to be president, you just need to be a decent human being. And that's what we're looking for. Mr. Vladimir. Or the motto that I'm sure you've used, which is like, I'm not important, but my job is. Love that, learned that years ago from somebody. And that's the public official mindset. Okay. Got all those? Officials get to decide what they do. Is the myth? No, all officials have to serve the public as a whole at all times, no matter what they want. Okay, ready to do some testing? That's it. Think of this as your goal. Levels of quality. Government works with good people running it, random people running it, or bad people running it. As Nobel says, the ideal government would run perfectly with your enemy in charge. Think about that. It's a pretty high standard, right? Aspirational. Cool. Ready? Okay, let's start with question with 5 minutes left here. Pain. Give me some pain.
What genre of pain?
No pain?
What genre of pain?
Government pain.
Bureaucracy.
Okay, I'll guide you along here.
Yeah.
Wave a magic wand. Keep you up at night. Bug the crap out of you. Whatever. Anything you wish you could change. Feel free to step up, government folks. Feel free to step up, startup people. We're whiteboarding here. There's no wrong answers.
I would say misinformation.
Misinformation from where? From residents to the government, or vice versa, or both?
Yeah, misinformation that drives bad decisions.
Misinformation that drives bad decisions is a pain point for you. Love it. Who else has one? Yeah.
Actually, talking to an elected official. I challenge anybody to call the government's office and see what happens.
So challenging for you, it's annoying to try to talk with a public official.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Who else has one? No, everything else is perfect? Good enough. You're respecting the time window. I like that too. All right, so that's it. That's the pain piece, right? And there's other things you can think of. Right? We could find some more pain. If we had an hour, if we had a workshop, we would go through a lot of stuff, come up with a lot of stuff, and you can do that. And we will be doing that, as I'll explain shortly. So now let's prototype some features and benefits. So your misinformation challenge. Whoops. What is a painkiller there? Wave a magic wand again.
Truth.
Yeah, I think better training on critical thinking.
Love it. Training, right? I mean, if you think about what elected, would you let someone fly you in a plane who got elected without any training and without necessarily being skilled at all, having done it before, right? Maybe.
How about you could only,
They went into a training program first, and then they came out and they passed the test and so on, right? That's challenging.
how about only campaigning as with truths, not smear campaigns?
Campaigning with truth would be nice.
Yeah.
You know, in Nevada, it's illegal to make a false statement as an official,
But not in campaign.
not in campaigning, and find me the last person who actually got prosecuted.
Right?
So there's a full picture. Yeah, keep going. What else?
Common rules of engagement,
Common rules of engagement, common goals, common rules of engagement, right?
shared rules of.
Shared rules of engagement. What are we trying to do? How are we going to do it?
And accountability for it. Because technically you do sign a pledge, you're gonna be truthful. and
Yes.
Respectful, but not everyone follows it, and when people break that, there's no accountability.
That's right. So the norm for telling the truth starts here, or at least starts on paper, and then it kind of falls apart as people deviate. And then, well, if you're going to deviate, I'm going to, right? It becomes a competitive disadvantage to tell the
To
truth,
tell the truth.
which is not good. Yeah, a lot of good stuff there. Oh God, this is where we're going to have to have a meeting. We're going to be doing some of this stuff for real, actually, like long form. If you're interested, reach out. Because we're actually, as I'll show you in a second. All right, so I was just going to give you a couple of little examples that we've come up with, little stupid little stuff, right? What makes more sense at the beginning of a meeting? A Pledge of Allegiance or both a public service?
Both, but oath of public service.
Yeah, how about if it looked like this? I solemnly swear to serve the public, the whole public, and nothing but the public at every meeting. You like that? What do you think?
Wow, that's great.
Would that be
Still
interesting?
have the Constitution up there. It's all right.
Yeah, well, the federal constitution,
You still have to have your oath.
yeah,
Sometimes the whole public, based on misinformation, doesn't have it right either.
that's right.
Right?
True.
Bandwagon fallacy, just because everyone, it's popular, doesn't mean
It's
it's true.
popular.
Popular doesn't mean it's true, exactly. Yeah, there's real work on that stuff.
And being able to know, even if you have the best intentions, being able to know what serves the public best.
That's right. It's tough. This is the emotional thing we were talking about earlier. How do you go from that, like, how do you become more Spock, right? And less,
Yeah.
I guess he's emotional, right? Yeah, hothead. Okay, cool. Here's another one. Hey, we need to do X. Who's ever heard that? Who's ever said that? How about a standard operating procedure? This is to your question way, way, way back in the beginning. Maybe, but what problem are we solving with X? And how do we know that's the most important problem to be working on right now? And that's a standard operating procedure. We've actually developed one that works really well for government. Keeps you in a circle. You may jump in here, hey, we got to do this. No, whoa, hold on. Let's keep going back, prioritizing, come back. Tax report that shows what you're paying, we all get that. How about a tax receipt showing what your money's being spent on, what you're getting? You like that better? Everyone nodding. Okay, yeah, these exist too. Company that does these is not that hard to create. And finally, elected officials decide priorities, or the public decides priorities as a whole, using data that they have, the officials maybe don't. Which I can do that. I should do scientific surveys, find out things that are important, things that are being satisfied, find out where you have high importance and low satisfaction. That's your to-do list. Low importance, high satisfaction, maybe that's something you can allocate away from with your limited resources. Like these ideas? There's a million more like them. So, anyone want to throw out one more, last one before we go? Give me your best idea. You've been saving it all the time, or just think on it and email me later. Okay. So, we forgot one thing. We forgot the magic question. How the hell are we going to do a magic question with a new government? What if we kind of created a new city from scratch with some great government? Does that sound interesting? I see a lot of like, whoa, wow, that sounds amazing. cityofinclinevillage.com. I'm helping them. It's a real thing. We create a new city. We want to create the best government in the US and the best place to live in the US. And that's where some of this is going to go and show up. We hope. We're looking forward to it. We appreciate your help. Let me know if you want to help. I'm dead serious. There are people, working groups working on this right now. How do we make government better? How do we make government ideally designed to serve the public? All right, that's it. Questions, ask me anything. And here's my contact info. Any other questions? All right. Anyone enjoy their time here today?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Anyone not enjoy their time here today? Okay,
I thought you were gonna have pizza and beer instead of sandwiches.
just
and
pictures,
water.
just pictures of pizza and beer. That's all I can do. Hope you enjoy the sandwiches. Make sure you have a cookie. Maggie makes great cookies. Thanks to Jeff, Maggie, Audrey, everyone at Startup NV. And thank you all for your time today. Appreciate it.
Before we get into questions, I just want to announce that we do have a lunch and learn next month on August 10th, which is also the second Wednesday of the month. And we're going to have Bill West, who is talking about the thick stench of marketing and how to cut through it. So feel free to attend that one as well.
No stench today.
No stench today.
Kevin@flashvote.com. Feel free to call me, text me directly.
Okay.
It's all good. Excellent. Thank you.